Right, everyone, about this time tomorrow, Celtic will be getting their Scottish Premiership defence underway against Aberdeen. It's Flag Day. I'm Hamish. Asim is here for the first time, I think. No, you were on with John once, but no, you're on with me as well. We're talking about first time in person. Did you have a good summer, Asim?
I did indeed. It was my birthday as well a couple of weeks ago, so a new birthday present for the occasion. But no, it was a good summer, but buzzing just to get back. Brilliant to be back here at Parkhead. Lovely day. Almost taps off weather, Hamish. You're going to give the viewers what they want?
Almost. There was a running joke last season. I think a viewer of the channel at the St Johnstone game, the one I think we won 7-0.
Yeah.
And we're 4-0 up maybe at half time, and I said, if we score 7, the top's coming off. We scored 7.
Did the top come off?
No.
We should make a pledge this season. If one of our bold statement predictions come off, maybe you can give the viewers something to look forward to.
Well, we'll give you a chance to get your prediction in later on, and if it's going to be bold, we'll maybe add that into the equation. Right, what's the thoughts on this? If I'm slightly out of breath, by the way, it's because I've literally just done a lap of the stadium, much slower than you're seeing right now. I've sped that up, obviously, but I thought we'd give you a look at the entire bowl at the moment. You've got one side with Callum McGregor, the one we're standing at, Billy McNeil, the immortal Billy McNeil on the other side of the stadium. The corners as well, with a kind of emblem type thing going on. Asim, what's the overall thoughts on what we're looking at right now?
First time seeing it in the flesh, Hamish, and I'm a fan. At first I wasn't too sure, maybe just because sentiment. I walked past this way for the last 10 years round this end, and I've always enjoyed the other banners, just kind of looking at the memories of all the old players. But when I come and see this, it looks classy, it looks professional, clean, fresh look. And obviously with Callum there, so it's a nice nod to last season. So no, I like it. It's grown on me, and I think a lot of people, when they come and see it in the flesh, will be actually impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of it as well. When I first kind of saw the plans for the corner bit, I was a bit sceptical. I thought, the previous design, when it had all the players and the memories, I wasn't sure it was going to be quite as nice. But I don't know, I quite like the fact it's kind of green all round, that Celtic Park is green. So how do you think we're set generally? What have you made of pre-season?
I think I alluded to it in a couple of the other videos in the pre-season after-match reactions. It's as relaxed as I've been for a long time. I'm usually stressed out this time of year, Hamish, like always worrying, have we signed enough? Are we prepared for the qualifiers? Usually we're not. This time it's just been so relaxed, and you can actually just enjoy the pre-season, but at the same time you're just itching for that first competitive game. I feel like squad-wise we're set for the domestic campaign. I'm happy with the business we've done. We look settled. I think gradually as pre-season's gone, we look better. The intensity's upped. I would like to see another couple of signings if we're to really challenge and make a good dent of Europe, I think. But I think it's as well prepared as we've been for a long time going into a new campaign. A lot of that's down to the fact there is no qualifiers. We've had a lot more time on the training field. The fact that we've secured our main targets from last season, the loan players. So I think we're in a very good position. It's a lot of fans are rightfully confident, and I think we've got a lot to be excited about going into Sunday and beyond.
You would certainly have taken this on Trophy Day,
100%.
Being in this situation. Carter Vickers signed up again, Jota signed up. Left back issue, I'm not going to say it's solved yet, but I said yesterday, I've said it prior, I think Bernabei will turn out to be a really good left back for us. I've seen enough so far from him to suggest that. Brought in a kind of a better backup goalkeeper. We've added Aaron Moy to our ranks. Yes, we lost Rogic and Beaton, but I think in general it's been good, and that's just the players we've signed. I think something that's almost not been spoken about too much is I think there's so much improvement to come in a number of those players who were decent last season. I mean, Hatate I think is going to have a much better season than last year. Jota was great last year, but I think there's another level for him to go to. Kyogo's just Kyogo, but we only got him for 6 months. Same with Giakoumakis. O'Reilly's got more in his game. You maybe look at that team and maybe Callum McGregor and like Joe Hart are the only guys you would say
at the ceiling of
and maybe even then it's harsh. Maybe McGregor, I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if he was to go and dominate Champions League games this season. So
no, I 100% agree. If you look at it, like a lot of the time as well, even the manager, a lot of the Aussie kind of pundits previously had told us Ange usually is strongest in his second season as well. I know Scott McDonald mentioned yesterday with Yokohama, but by and large the consensus is that Ange's teams will get stronger, and the more that they learn his ways, the more the players become more familiar with each other. And like you said, a lot of those players are young players, first season in Scotland, I can't help but see the likes of Abada, Maeda, Hatate all getting better, and that's on top of what we already seen was a very good opening season from them. And then you've got your Joe Hart, McGregor, like that kind of spine as well. So I think there's a lot more to come from this team, which makes you even more excited because yes, we had a great season last year, but the fact that we feel we could get even better, and I think we will, is a lot to be excited about.
Very excited. Can you tell we're both very excited? Let's find out how Aberdeen fans, or certainly one Aberdeen fan, is feeling ahead of the match tomorrow. My pal Ryan, he's been on the channel before a couple of times. I think he runs the Aberdeen Twitter page and website Red Point of View, and I got him on for a bit of an update on Aberdeen because it's been a busy summer for them in terms of recruitment and other things happening. But to start, I wanted to get his point of view on the interesting Don's banner that was doing the rounds in recent weeks. We are Aberdeen, no more Celtic loans. This was Ryan's explanation.
I found quite funny, obviously from a personal point of view. However, yes, message delivered in a wrong way. However, I think it's a message that a lot of people at Aberdeen have felt maybe a bit disappointed when it got first announced, the Scales signing. I think in general terms, we shouldn't be looking to loan players from other teams in the league, given if we're going to challenge Rangers and Celtic at all. Obviously, as you pointed out, finished 10th last year, so it's not, you're not in direct competition. But when you're coming up against Celtic in the first game of the season and you can't play your first choice centre back, it's not a great start. And obviously people point to the Ryan Christie signing. While he was great for Aberdeen, brilliant, came back to haunt us in a few years' time where he scored in the cup final, didn't he? So it's just that basic mentality of shouldn't be loaning players from other teams in the league, really, if you're wanting to compete against them.
Okay, fair enough. You've given your version of events. We'll let you away with that and move on. You're in good form, 4 wins from 4 in the Premier Sports Cup, although you were in a group with Wraith Rovers, Peterhead, Dumbarton and Stirling Albion, so not a great deal of kind of strong competition there or opposition, but you did win all of those games by at least 2 goals and you didn't concede, so it seems like you're going into the game on Sunday in pretty decent form.
Yeah, can't deny that. Obviously, well, Wraith Rovers beat us in the League Cup last year, put us out, so progress is progress, isn't it? But you're right, obviously there'll be a lot tougher tests to come, no more so than Sunday at Celtic Park, and I don't think anyone's getting too carried away with the results in the early stages of the season. I mean, even again last season, you look at the 5-1 victory over the Swedish team Häcken, Audrey, the first European game, and everyone was raving about the squad, and then you look at what they went on to do last season. So I think, if anything, last season was a lesson in not to get too carried away early on. But as far as taking the League Cup group stages as seriously and as positively as possible, couldn't really have done any better, no.
Yeah. In terms of transfers, there's been a fair bit of change, as you probably would expect, with Jim Goodwin coming in at the end of last season. From the last time that we played you, which was February, I think mid-February, Scott Brown has left, Andy Considine has gone to St Johnstone, Calvin Ramsey has gone to Liverpool for a fee of up to £6.5 million. I should probably do that in euro. That seems to be the done thing now, a certain team, but anyway. Declan Gallagher, Dylan McGeoch have also gone. Lewis Ferguson, probably the one that folk really know about, moving to Bologna for I think around about £3 million. So you've brought in certainly, this summer, at least 5, 6, 7 million pounds, and you've spent a wee bit as well. Tell us a little bit about some of the players that you've signed.
Yeah, you mentioned there that we've spent in excess of £1 million, which is not really a position that Aberdeen have been in often. So exciting to bring in players who you're paying for. I mean, I think the standouts this season, to touch on a few of the guys who have come in, Cal Roberts from Notts County looks like a really good signing. Obviously, they're playing their trade in the National League, but 17 goals at any decent level of English football is not to be sniffed at, and by all accounts, he was destined to go on to bigger and better things in League One, maybe bottom end of the Championship. So
he's a forward.
Yep, winger, can play in 10 role, and I think he'll have a big part to play over the course of the season. looks a good player, good addition. Some of the as you know about Scales has looked good. Put himself well in pre-season. Developed a decent partnership already with our new captain, new signing Anthony Stewart from
Wickham.
That's it. I escaped me there, but I don't think he's lost a header since he came in. Might have seemed a strange decision to make him the captain, new into the club, brand new signing, but he's brought positivity with him and his performances. Looks like it's a step up from what we had last year with Gallagher and Bates. So there's a decent, obviously you won't see Scales at Celtic Park, but decent defensive options. In the middle of the park, obviously Ramadani, Albanian international. Looks good pedigree. And then up the top end of the park, still got Ramirez from last season, although it's doubtful whether he'll still be here. But obviously Miovski plays for North Macedonia as well.
£500,000 you paid for him?
Yeah. I think, both of Ramadani and Miovski came from MTK Budapest last season. They actually got relegated, so I think that was the opportunity to bring them in there on the cheap. So I think Miovski is the kind of standout, to be honest. Looks like he's going to be a good player. Obviously made his debut against Raith Rovers at the weekend and got a goal, an assist, and he's still miles off match fitness, but when he's up to that, looks like he could be up to a lot this season.
Yeah, Jaden Richardson as well, Nottingham Forest. Kel Roos, goalkeeper. Is Kel Roos going to be your first choice?
It's a bit of debate about that. Obviously, he's played all the pre-season games. The way Goodwin's looking to play, I think it's important that his distribution, the goalkeeper's distribution, is one of the main assets that you have. And I think that from what I've seen so far, he has better distribution than Joe Lewis. However, in terms of shot stopping and commanding his box, there has been a few shaky moments, and you probably haven't seen enough of him against the four teams that we've played to judge him on that. But I think you might see a bit of chopping and changing between the goalkeepers this season until we get one of them puts in a string of decent performances. And obviously Richardson on the wing, fast attacking fullback. Same with bringing in Hayden Coulson on the left-hand side from Middlesbrough just recently as well. So the focus is definitely on getting some pace and power into playing a lot higher up the park this season and actually running at teams and having a go rather than the possession-based football that we were endured to last season.
Yeah, I mean, you'll know better than me, but it did seem in the limited glimpses I had Aberdeen last season that you were missing that real pace, in any position, and you were never totally worried about Aberdeen kind of cutting you open or counter-attacking you. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes on Sunday. Is the pressure off on Sunday? Is it a free hit?
I mean, it's not a free hit. I think everyone wants to get their league campaign off to a good start. So I think everyone's expecting a good performance. I think nobody's going to be annoyed if they don't come away with 3 points or even a draw. But I think everyone wants to see progress and wants to see them continue those decent performances from the League Cup group stages into Sunday. So I think most Aberdeen fans would take a decent performance, and if that gets us some points, obviously Celtic's first competitive game of the season might be a interesting factor in that, given we've played 4. It's definitely a point to consider, but I think most people would expect just a decent performance and then to focus on the next two games at home to take maximum points from.
And do you think you'll have a go, or will it be kind of backs to the wall?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we've not really seen Goodwin with his own team approach these games, so it's just kind of second guessing. However, I think the way that the team's set up, the signings that we've just touched on, none of them are too reliant on sticking 10 men behind the ball and hoping to stay compact. Obviously, you'll need to do that at times, but the focus is very much on getting players in who we can hurt other teams up the other end of the park. So I think it'll be a decent game of football. I don't think Aberdeen will be coming in to sit behind the ball like the majority of other teams probably do at Celtic Park. I think obviously you need to pick and choose your moments, but I think they'll be having a go at times throughout the match. Yeah.
So Aberdeen set to have a go tomorrow, as Ryan says. I think they will as well. Scott touched on this as well the other day. They've not really got a great deal to lose. First game of the season, I feel like you're kind of more likely to sit in when it hits December, and maybe, you feel as if a point's a good result. A point's still a great result for Aberdeen tomorrow, but I think, start of the season, that kind of expectation and that buzz that everyone feels, they'll be feeling it as well, and I think it's only natural they'll come out and play a little bit more than they normally would.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there's less expectation. Their fans are probably coming here with a bit of hope for the new season, and I think Goodwin will want to put on a performance as well, just to lay the foundations, whether they get the result or not. But he'll want to show an intent, because I think a lot of the criticism towards his time at the end of last season was they didn't really have a style, and they didn't see it going anywhere under him. But all in all, I think it will be a good occasion and a good test and a good start for us to have a team like Aberdeen coming.
I agree with that totally. I think, Celtic players are going to, start on fire. I think I get that impression from the way we've played pre-season and the way we've started every match in pre-season. It's been with real intent.
The first halves have been all very, very encouraging.
I think the intent we've started with in those games have been brilliant. I think tomorrow with the full house we're going to see it again, and I just think Aberdeen are great opponents for that. They've got decent players. It's a big game. It's one of the biggest games we've played domestically all season, and I just can't wait for it. I think it's going to be brilliant. Obviously at this stage you will no doubt know the results from Saturday's games. I guess they're not too important really at this stage. It's all just about us this weekend, starting the season well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I love the first weekend of the season, though. Even just looking at the other clubs, I like to see how they're all faring up and stuff like that. But for us, it's just about getting off to a good start. Obviously, ideally, if they drop points at Livy away,
Hearts.
Main challenge is Hearts. If they drop, who are they playing? I know they've got Hibs next week, but so I think it's good just to see how all the teams fare up in the first game of the season. Some of the teams will even have an extra couple of hundred at their grounds in hope at the start of the season as well. But yeah, I think for us it doesn't really matter what goes on elsewhere. We want to put out a marker, and I really think we will. I really do think we will. Like you said, the pre-season games, I missed the Norwich one, but apart from that, I've seen them all, and I think the way we've played in the first half has been brilliant, and I think that's the intent that we'll start with again. Some of the fast one-touch football has been great to see, and I just think that will be a continuation hopefully on Sunday.
So in terms of your team, this is what I have gone for. So Joe Hart in goals, a back four of Juranovic, Carter-Vickers, Welsh and Taylor. We're going for McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate in the middle, Jota, Kyogo, Maida. Is there anything you disagree with?
It's a team that started against Norwich.
It is, yeah.
I think the general consensus amongst most fans was that's the team they're likely to see, barring any late injuries or anything.
So apart from Stafford, was that our best team?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. If you're for me it is. Giacomakis, Turnbull, Abada, Mayfield, that they'd be the ones closest to pushing into that lineup. But if you were to ask me at this stage who I think is our strongest team going into the first game of the season, that would be it. Starfelt coming in for Welsh. But yeah, I think so. But Maida's just, I think he's had a great pre-season as well, and
I think he's really underrated.
I'll touch on him later on when we're kind of talking about expectations for the season. But for me that's the strongest team, and I think that's what we'll see. But you've got great options on the bench as well there, don't you, to come on, and that's the massive difference this season is you've got players there on the bench who you'd have no qualm starting. And be equally as strong.
When you look at the team we fielded for the game last season against Hearts, and that was just night and day. Like, I don't even want to look back and see who was playing in that game. Yes, kick-off 4:30 on Sunday. We're going to go on now to some Flag Day memories, and then we'll maybe just get some predictions and all of that kind of stuff. In terms of Flag Day, a normal person might go for a game against domestic opposition, but my favourite Flag Day, certainly one of them, was the one that wasn't against Scottish opposition.
You've got me there, Hamish.
Lincoln Red Imps.
Was that a flag day?
2016.
Do you know what I was
a
looking?
flag day. I don't know how that worked out. I think from memory our first game was at Tynecastle that season.
It was, and I was
So
looking
I
back.
don't know why. Was there a reason for that?
So I was actually looking back through some of the fixtures. I was touching on it with you just before we came on there about how like some of the games weren't the most memorable flag day ones. But I was looking and I was like, we won the league the year before Rodgers' first season. So why were we at Tynecastle? But that explains where the flag day was. I don't know why it was a European game.
It wasn't Commonwealth Games. That was 2014. I feel from memory, and I'm usually quite good at these things, like maybe because Rangers had won the league, the championship the previous season, and they had their own flag day for winning the championship, and maybe that's why.
So they gave them precedence over us.
But
that's feasible.
It happened against Lincoln Red Imps anyway, and we overturned that. And the other one I've got actually against Aberdeen, 10 years ago, pretty much to the day. Black Sox we were wearing. Remember the Black Sox that came about for about a quarter of that season? We won 1-0. I remember Jamie Langfield having an absolute howler clangers in the last 10 minutes to like a Chris Commons short corner. I think he worked a 1-2 from the corner, scuffled an effort, and Jamie Langfield literally went down like a 90-year-old. No offence to any 90-year-olds watching, because it is offensive. Exactly, and let the ball in. But that was narrow. There's been quite a few narrow ones as well, but there's also been some drubbings.
So I was having a look back as well there. Been fortunate enough to come to quite a few now in my time. So I'm going to go way back to Martin O'Neill's second season. I feel like just because of the whole change in momentum when O'Neill came in, there was such a buzz going into his second season. We were making a foray into the Champions League that year. I think we'd came off a win against Ajax potentially around that time as well, and it was 3-0 at home to St Johnstone. And I remember Paul Lambert scored a couple of screamers, rare goals for Lambert, but when he did score it tended to be good goals, and I remember him having an absolute belter of a season as well. So that one sticks out for me. Another one, Gordon Strachan's second season as well, 4-1 against Killie at home.
Nakamura scored.
I think we had quite a few debutants, or like Maciej Zarowski,
Jarosik maybe as well.
Jarosik. So I think there was quite a lot of excitement with that signing, and then he started the season off well, and Zarowski scored a couple as well potentially. So I think there was quite an air of optimism that season. Like again, we were going into the Champions League. I think, see, when you know you're in the Champions League as well, there's an extra added air of positivity. Whereas I think a lot of the times, so there was one a couple of years ago. Sorry, I'm just talking about all of them here. But the 7-0 against St Johnstone, that was 2019. I think it was 9-in-a-row season.
Yep.
So that was another good one. Obviously, such a big scoreline.
We just lost to Cluj.
But I think we'd lost to Cluj either before it or in between. Might have been in between, but you've always got that hanging over you, so you're always like, one eye on that. Whereas
this is like our first game.
Yeah, it's the big one, isn't it?
Usually flag day's a bit like, because you've already played a qualifier.
Yeah, and that's maybe more important in the minds as well, just because it just determines the rest of your season, whereas this is it.
So what are you going for then?
Scoreline?
No, in terms of your favourite flag day. You've gone over about 20 there. Are you going for the Martin O'Neill one?
I'm going to go for Martin O'Neill. That period of me being a Celtic fan was one of my favourites, so I'm going to go for the 3-0.
Let's look to the future now then in terms of predictions. We did it with Scott McDonald and Dave yesterday, and me as well, looking at 3 categories. First one is the player to shine this year, basically the player of the year.
The player of the year. So this was a tough one. We've got so many different options, but I'm going to go for Kyogo. I know it might sound like
what I went for.
An easy one. Reason being, and I think we touched on it towards the tail end of last season, he was so good, and then he's out for so long that you almost forget, and you're always wondering, was it a purple patch, or is he going to... And then he just came back like he'd not been away. I know it took him a couple of weeks, but even just looking back to the trophy day, the technique on that goal
was brilliant, wasn't
it? And then even his first one, and the header at Ross County, and you forget how good he is. And now and I think we've now got also, there were times last season where I felt we didn't play to his strengths. I think you'll see that a lot more this time. Hatate loves that quick early ball. Matt O'Reilly likes it. I think Turnbull as well, and I think we'll be able to utilise that, especially in Europe potentially, where we'll actually bring him into the game a lot more, and I think we'll see an even better Kyogo.
Hatate did one on Saturday against Norwich where he nutmegged the player and then tried to feed it through, and it was a great challenge for the defender. What about a player to surprise us?
So again, this was a tough one. I know Dave mentioned it yesterday as well, that we kind of know what to expect with most players, and it's not like anyone's going to totally surprise us, but a wee shout out to my nephew actually, who I was discussing this with before, and he kind of mentioned him, and
cheating.
I know cheating. But David Turnbull, reason being, I think most of us, if we're talking about our starting lineup, he's probably not included in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like he started pre-season really well. He's getting the goals, assists, and then even if you look at last season, Ange likes him. He was our mainstay up until the injury in the cup final.
He
played every game, so Ange obviously trusts him, and his output in terms of goals and assists is there for all to see. I rate him, but I always thought maybe he's lacking that extra, dynamic side to his game potentially for Europe or whatever. But again, with a full pre-season under his belt and working under Ange, I feel like you could see him maybe. I think he'll contribute a lot, but maybe surprise people in terms of how much he might feature and again the goals and assists. And I think he's one to look out for.
And what's your big prediction?
I like
bearing in mind the top's coming off if it comes in.
Well, I liked your one yesterday because I think that is a shout. But I'm going to go for. I think we threatened it a lot last year. But I think we're going to get a big scoreline.
10.
I was thinking about 10 earlier, and I thought, is that too bold? 9 or 10, I think we can hit that. We hit 7. Wow. I just think there was a number of games, the amount of chances we miss, and if we're a bit more clinical and ruthless, and if we really want it, we've been threatening it for a while. It is a big statement, and I don't want to bring the tops off, so I'm going to go for. We might hit double figures this season. There you go.
Oh, wow, that is mega, mate. That's exactly what we want. Big prediction.
Yeah, otherwise,
better than those two yesterday with a. But I like that. Yeah, I mean, as you say, we scored 7 last year? We scored 6 twice.
We've had an 8 against Hamilton a few years ago. We've had the 9 under Neil Lennon. Yeah, so we've had a few big ones.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you said, we threatened it. That 7-0 game could have easily been 10. There was a few others, so why not?
Very good. Nice predictions. We'll hold you to that at the end of the season.
What was yours again? A scalping. You know what? I think you're onto something there.
I've been really clever here, and I whisper this bit really vague. A scalp. It could be Ajax, and I'd look at it and go, oh.
I think looking at the potential teams, I know I'm digressing here slightly, but you look at that draw that we're going to get. We're going to play a biggie. I think we'd be very fortunate if you get a kind of not a big team from each pot.
Yeah.
So even an Ajax, if we were to beat them, given where we've came from in the last couple of years, that would be a scalp. But I just feel like we're due a nice big result, and especially here under the lights, I can see it.
Oh, it would just be. Imagine the celebrations. Like
it might be sandwiched between 2 5-0 drubbins up,
2 10-0s.
But I think we've got that in us under Ange.
Wednesday night we'll beat Real Madrid. Saturday we'll put 10 past Kelly. We'll both be winners.
There you go.
Right. 4:30 kickoff. I think I've said that about 18 times now. Just want to emphasise that because it is a strange kickoff time. Celtic are also urging and encouraging people to get here as early as possible. The flag will be getting unfurled, I think, about 4:20. There's a full stadium tifo as well that I'd completely forgotten about. I know as we stand here right now, it's all set up inside the stadium. So that's going to be another major thing. I mean, how often does that happen? That happens, I think, 3 I can remember. And the 2 that the Green Brigade have organised, and they're organising the one tomorrow, have both been incredible. The Hearts game and the Barca one that we won. So I assume it's going to be we don't stop.
Is that some inside info there?
No, not at all. Genuinely, I just kind of they've had we don't stop in all their statements. I think, and I just thought you've got kind of 3 stands to work with, basically, not including the main stand. We don't stop, but it might be something different. I don't know. It's going to really be a proper occasion. The flag getting unfurled, the stadium full, the atmosphere. I think for a Sunday afternoon game is going to be jumping. It's
exciting,
good to be back. It feels, to me, it's been a long summer. I've been doing videos every day, but equally it doesn't seem that long since we were here on getting the trophy against Motherwell, and it's just so good. It's starting again. Some prediction.
I'm going to go for a 4-0 victory. Right. I think we've touched on a few of the previous flag days have been tight affairs. We've had a couple of bigger victories, but against a good opposition. I just think we're going to come out all guns blazing and we're full of intent, and just with the options we've got as well and the atmosphere, I've got high expectations for a big result here. 4-0.
Exciting. I think it'll be slightly tighter. I'll go 2-0 to Celtic. Clean sheet and a victory would be grand. Right, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back. I think you're actually going to be on the reaction after the game tomorrow, so we'll speak to you then. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Speak to you tomorrow.